Hello, and welcome to another BTFO. Today we'll be talking about On Swift Horses. Now, this is a film that I was looking forward to. I had seen a trailer before a different AMC Unseen that I watched. That's how I saw this, was through an AMC Unseen. And from the trailer, it looked like it would be sort of a 1950s, 1960s, like sort of gambling type film, kind of like The Sting, but you watch like three different people try to rig horse betting, and there's fallout from that. So it seemed like it could be pretty interesting, and it had Will Poulter and Daisy Edgar Jones in it. And so I was looking forward to it. That's not what this film is. If I had to best describe what this film feels like to me, I would say that it feels like I don't know, it's probably the first adaptation I've seen of like a porno to a film, where like the plot really only happens at like the beginning and the end, and other than that, all of your plot progression really feels like it's just ripped straight from like a porno. Where so basically, I guess we'll just jump into the story. So you've got Lee is this like Korean War veteran, and he's got a wife, Muriel, and a brother, Julius, and he lives out in Kansas with Muriel in Muriel's mother's home, which is basically like it's Muriel's home, but like her mother like made the home, so now she owns it. But so Julius comes back from the war, and like they basically they say that their plan is all three of them are going to move out to San Diego and like start a new life out there. And but they have to do that after Lee comes back, because he's got another 6 months to go serve in Korea. And they pretty heavily imply that Muriel and Julius are like having an affair behind Lee's back. But then we just sort of jump forward 6 months, and Lee and Muriel are in San Diego, where Julius ended up in LA, which was one of the things that kind of annoyed me. Like, just a small thing is that we have a title card for San Diego. There is no title card for LA. You just find out like way later in the movie that he was in LA and not San Diego, and it's like, oh, okay, like I guess that's where he was. But basically Lee works at like a manufacturing plant, and that's like all he does basically throughout the whole film. Muriel, she works at a diner that's like across the way from like horse racing place, and so she basically just learns like what bets people are placing and goes and places those bets, and so she like makes a lot of money on horse racing. And so then like back over to Julian is in LA Julius is in LA as a male prostitute / gambler, and he's there until one night he wins it big, and then he gets mugged and sexually assaulted, and Muriel decides to like send him some money so that he can take a bus from LA to San Diego, and he decides, nah, I'm gonna go to Vegas and like gamble what I have left, and he ends up making some money, and then decides to like start working as security at one of the casinos. And the only other guy that he works with ends up being gay, and so the rest of Julius's plotline for like a good chunk of the movie is just, am I having sex with my boyfriend, or did I just get done having sex with my boyfriend? Like, that's mostly what their scenes are. And so then back over with Muriel, she and Lee buy a little like ranch house with the money that they've made, and she tells Lee that like she got the money from selling her mom's house, which isn't true, and we'll come back to that later. But basically she decides to go like bet more money on horses, and while she's there she meets this lady that like tells her to go to this gay bar, and then after some like Julius scenes, she goes to the gay bar and she finds the lady, and like they almost hook up but then they don't, and so then she decides to go home, and on her way home she stops by her like next door neighbor's house, and her next door neighbor is having like a lesbian book club, and so she hooks up with her next door neighbor, and then the next day she hooks up with her husband, and then the next day she hooks up with her neighbor again, and then like Lee catches her getting thrown out of her neighbor's house, and basically like Lee decides, nah, I'm not gonna do that, like I'm not gonna be here while you don't want to be with me, so like nah, I'm out. And like I guess a little bit before that Julian comes back because so Julian and his boyfriend have been cheating at gambling at like all the other casinos in Vegas except for the one they work at, because that would be a really stupid idea to try and like cheat at the casino that you work at. It's a dumb idea to even gamble at the casino that you work at. But Julius's boyfriend decides to do that, and so they get beat up and they split up, and so Julius goes to San Diego, and it's kind of weird where like Muriel has this dream where she's in bed with Lee, and then like Julius comes in the room to like make out with her, and it's like, oh, that feels like a weird holdover from like the actual like porno plot that they would have adapted. You know, just pretty near the end of the film, it's like, oh, this is our threesome scene. It's like, okay. But then Julius decides to leave for Tijuana to try and find his boyfriend, and it's kind of funny because he gets down to Tijuana and he finds a gay bar there, and like all the gay Mexicans beat him up, and it's kind of funny where it's like, oh yeah, they didn't have a problem with him being gay, they had a problem with him being fucking white. But then Muriel, before she decides to leave, she goes to the gay bar and she happens to run into Julius's boyfriend, and so while at the gay bar she leaves like on a wall that they have specifically for this, she leaves like a postcard being like, hey Julius, like if you see this, come home, we love you. And it's like, oh, okay, like that's kind of dark, like that they just have this wall for that. Like I don't doubt that things like that might have existed, but it's like, damn, that's fucking like dark compared to the rest of this movie. And then Julius's boyfriend hijacks that and like literally writes on the same postcard like, hey, this is your boyfriend, if you see this, come to like this fucking casino in Vegas, I'll be there. Which it's like, how long do you plan on fucking staying at a casino in Vegas? Like, they're not exactly cheap. Like, I know it's like the 50s or early 60s when this movie takes place, but I still can't imagine that it would be that cheap to like just hang out at a casino all day. But then like Muriel goes back to Kansas, and Julius goes to the gay bar in San Diego, and then decides to ride off into the sunrise to go find his boyfriend. And as he does that, he like reads this letter that says, he's like, "Oh, this is to you, Muriel. Like, I don't know if the whole time you knew I was gay and I knew you were gay. Like, that's definitely what happened." It feels like it had to be like a producer's note of like, "Hey, yeah, I feel like these people were having an affair, right? Like, where did that plot line go?" Like, and also, isn't it a little weird that like the gay guy and the lesbian, that like they were having an affair with each other? Like, isn't that a little weird? And they were like, "Fuck no, like that's not the intention we had. We need to throw in an 80-yard letter at the end." And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a choice. But then like it is just kind of funny where so Muriel ends up on like in her mother's house back in Kansas, alone and broke. And that should be a tragic ending, that it's like, well, yeah, you kind of got what you deserved. Like, it's not a happy ending, but it's like, well, you did decide to cheat on your husband, so like that's kind of what you get. But like the movie doesn't see it that way, because it's like, again, like I mentioned earlier, she wanted her mother's house. Like, she did not want to give that up, and she ultimately didn't have to give that up. And she's broke because she gave the rest of her winnings to Lee, like as she left, which it's like, at least there's some acknowledgement that like Lee is a good person, that he didn't do anything wrong, that like this is just sort of bad shit that happened to him, despite him being a good person. And it's like, at least there's that. Like, that's kind of nice. But it also means that it's like, well, so her being broke is entirely her choice. And like, you know, as far as her being alone, it's like, well, yeah, I don't know how long that will last, because it feels really weird where I think an element of this film that they wanted to have in there was like, oh, how hard it was for like gay people back then. But it's like, that's not the way you've written your film. All of the characters instantly bump into gay people wherever they go. Like, it doesn't seem like it's very hard to find a gay person out here, and it doesn't seem like it's very hard to exist as a gay person. Like, why, you know, if you wanted that to be an element in your movie, you should have written it differently. But like, they didn't. So yeah, it just, like, the most tragic ending is Lee, but we don't, like, after Lee gets the money from Muriel, we don't see him again. Like, we have no idea where he went. He just literally drops out of the story, the end. And it's like, oh man, like, that fucking sucks. And like, it's kind of funny where, because like, Lee is such a good person, where like they try and have a scene where like he tries to overtalk Muriel, but at the end of the day he's like, well, it's still your decision, honey. Like, you know, I know my brother said I should make decisions for you, but I won't. Like, and they don't even, like, they don't make him homophobic. Like, if anything, he's way accepting, because they have a scene that's like really funny, just because of the way that it's written. Like, it's not supposed to be funny. None of this is supposed to be funny. But like, he's talking with Muriel, and he's like, well, you know, like, Julius, he's different than you and me. You know, he's always been a bit different. Even when we were kids, he was different. He lives in a different world than us, okay? We're like, you know, he'll never be like us because he's different. And I love my brother, but he's different. And it's like, okay, dude, like, I think we get the point. Like, you know, like, goddamn, like, could you be any less subtle. Yeah, it's just, I wouldn't recommend the movie. Like, that's, I mean, like, I would just say straight up, it is not what it is marketed as. That it's like, it's marketed as, and like, even the, like, IMDb description talk about, like, oh, it's all about, like, gambling on horse races. And it's like, not really. Like, that exists for, like, 2 scenes. And other than that, the entire movie is just about who am I gonna fuck next and who have I fucked. Like, that's it. It's the plot of a fucking porno. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. I did think it was funny seeing this as a AMC Unseen. There were a few people that walked out pretty early on, which isn't surprising with an AMC Unseen. I mean, a lot of people, it's just a matter of, I'm not that interested in this. I have better things that I could be spending my time on. It's only like $5 for a ticket. So it's like, oh well, I gambled that it might have been something more interesting. It wasn't, oh well. But when the movie ended, that is the absolute quickest I have ever seen a theater empty. I was sitting in the back and like, people were like literally tripping over each other to get out of the theater, and it was dead silent. Nobody wanted to say a thing to each other, because it's like, I got the impression that, yeah, we all felt the same way, where it's like, ooh, yeah, I feel kind of gross having watched this, like, like, because it really does. It feels kind of like it was a porno, and that, like, they just sort of improved some of the dialogue and got actual actors. I mean, there's not really, like, because I would say that, like, plot-wise, it feels like a porno, and, like, it feels kind of paced like a porno, but, like, at least the dialogue does feel like real dialogue. It's not like, Miller's Girl, where that just felt like a pornographic novel adapted to the screen. And, like, there's a little bit of nudity in this, just a very tiny amount of, like, Daisy Edgar Jones's tits. Like, you see them for like 2 seconds, and then, like, there are some people's butts. That's it. And so it's like, okay, so yeah, I don't know, for making a movie about, like, people fucking each other, it seems kind of weird that you didn't have the balls to include people fucking each other. But yeah, I would not recommend this movie. I think a lot of people might be interested from the trailer, and I think it's a real shame, because that is just, it's not what this movie is. So yeah, I hope that you've enjoyed this BTFO review, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.